So Ultramar was a vast interstellar realm in the Eastern Fringe of the galaxy. It was ruled and protected by the Ultramarines Legion and then by the chapter after the Horus Heresy. The realm in its maximum extent was originally forged by the Primarch Roboute Guilliman during the Great Crusade era. Ultramar was not just a military and political dominion but also a model of order, prosperity and civilization amidst a galaxy in turmoil and chaos. Life there was considered to be way better than in most worlds of the Imperium. In its maximum extent or expanse, it encompassed over 500 human worlds, and so it was collectively known as the 500 Worlds of Ultramar, all unified under Guilliman's strict yet benevolent governance. Each world here contributed to the strength of the whole, forming a self-sustaining empire of industry, agriculture and defense that rivaled even that of the planets near Terra. And so here in this video, we will explore the history, reformation and military strength of the 500 Worlds of Ultramar. Let's get to it. Its past was rich and diverse. Before Guilliman's arrival, the region that would become Ultramar was a fragmented cluster of human-settled worlds that were left scarred by the Age of Strife, which to many of you that know and follow 40k intimately would know it as a dark time when the warp storms cut off planets from each other and civilizations regressed. This was due to the prior devastation following the Dark Age of technology, the rise of the Iron Men or the Men of Iron, and the Cybernetic Revolt, and then by the birth of Slanesh, the fourth Chaos God, from the decadence and the depravity of the Eldari race. However, despite this isolation, the world of Macragge, Ultramar's future capital, endured better than most. Its people maintained discipline, order and even short-range space travel, which allowed them some limited contact with neighboring systems. And all this changed when Guilliman arrived in his stasis pod. So long before the Emperor's arrival, Roboute Guilliman had already transformed Macragge from a fractured post-strife world into the heart of a flourishing interstellar civilization. Guilliman reorganized Macragge into a model society which is based on merit, efficiency and justice. With his industry thriving and his military reform into a professional and disciplined force, he began to establish contact with nearby human-settled systems that had survived the Age of Strife. And through diplomacy, trade and calculated military campaigns, he unified these worlds under a single banner, forming the foundation of what became known as Ultramar, as the 500 Worlds of Ultramar. Well, more or less. Each of the worlds under this realm was encouraged to govern itself efficiently, while adhering to Guilliman's strict laws and principles of cooperation and order, creating a network of prosperous, self-sufficient planets bound by loyalty and shared prosperity. By the time of the Emperor's arrival, his fleets reaching the Eastern Fringe, Guilliman had already forged Ultramar into a stable, enlightened and powerful realm, a shining example, a beacon of what the Imperium of Man could have been at its best. Now after the Horus Heresy and a devastating civil war, including the Great Scouring that tore the Imperium apart and many sections of the Realm of Ultramar, Roboute Guilliman recognized that the age of vast, semi-independent space marine empires had to come to an end. The heresy had shown the dangers of such concentrated power. The legions, once loyal, had become potential kingdoms unto themselves. Determined to prevent a repeat of this tragedy, Guilliman enacted sweeping reforms during the time of rebirth. In accordance with the Emperor's vision of mankind's governance, he decreed that the Space Marines would no longer directly rule vast civilian territories. Instead, Ultramar's worlds were to be granted autonomy under imperial law, governed by their own human administrations, their governors, and only answerable to the wider Imperium rather than the Astartes. Many of these planets were reorganized into imperial subsectors or granted self-rule while maintaining close cultural ties and defensive ones with Macragge. And as part of Guilliman's reformation, the Ultramarines Legion itself, like all others, were divided into numerous smaller successor chapters, following the guidelines of the Codex Astartes. Each new chapter was given a home world or a protectorate drawn from the old realm of Ultramar, forming what became known as the Ultramarine Second Founding. Worlds such as Prandium, Talsar and Espander were among those retained within the core worlds of Ultramar, while others were placed under the guardianship of the newly created chapters like the Genesis chapter, Nova Marines, Aurora chapter, and the Sons of Aura. These chapters inherited both the traditions and duty to defend their assigned regions, extending Guilliman's ideals across the stars while decentralizing military authority. And over time, Ultramar itself stabilized as a subsector of 13 key worlds, which were later commonly referred to as 11, all centered around Macragge. This restructured realm served as both a symbolic and a practical model for imperial governance as a balance between autonomy, loyalty and vigilance. So at the heart of this Ultramar subsector of 11 worlds lies the Macrak system, consisting of 6 key worlds, with Macrak being the home world of the Ultramarines, Novathilium, an agri world, Audium, a hive world, Thilium, a death world, Lapis, a revered shrine world, and Mortenda, a heavily fortified bastion world, a fortress world. The neighboring Talos system also held 6 planets of strategic and economic importance, including Thalassa Prime, which is home to the Death Watch Fortress, Thalassa Secundus, a hive world, Thalassa Tertius, an industrial hub, Uldregor, an agri world, Donark, a feudal world, and Phalanx Reach, another fortress world. The Masali system nearby contributed 3 lush agri worlds, Masali, Quinton, and Tarentus, alongside the formidable Eucladus Starfort. In the Viridia system are the planets Kelt, now a devastated death world, Lamani, a mining world, Ravishal, an industrial world, and Iskara, a thriving civilized world, and then the Viridia Forge, which is a Mechanicus mining outpost which is carved into an asteroid belt. Beyond these lay the remaining bastions of Ultramar's strength, 9 other systems, namely Espandor, Ajax, Circe, Prandium, Conor, Droll, Tarvan, Thalassar, and Parmenio. But all this changed when Roboute Guilliman was resurrected in the late 41st millennium. After more than 10,000 years in stasis, he returned to a galaxy that was vastly changed, fractured by the Great Rift, teeming with chaos and burdened by stagnation and superstitions. During his earlier reforms after the Horus Heresy, he had deliberately reduced Ultramar's official borders to prevent the Space Marines from becoming rulers over humanity again. But now, seeing the Imperium crumbling and chaos encroaching from the nearby Scourge stars, he realized his restraint had been a grave mistake. Determined to restore order and strength, Guilliman re-established the ancient Tetrarch Council of Ultramar, appointing new Tetrarchs, and his goal was nothing less than to reclaim all the systems that had once made up the legendary 500 worlds of Ultramar, restoring them to unity and strength under his governance. And by the time of the Plague Wars, Ultramar had already expanded to nearly 3/4 of its pre-heresy size, but not without resistance, and this is where the timeline of Titus as the captain of the Second Company intersects, from the trailer of the 500 Worlds, at a point in time where he also becomes the Warden of Ultramar, which is kinda like a dual responsibility for the captain of the Second of the Ultramarines. Now in the present era, Ultramar is divided into 5 great regions known as Tetrarchies, which are North, South, East, West, and Center. The Northern Tetrarchy is centered in Conor and ruled by Severus Agamen, the first captain of the Ultramarines. To the south lies the Southern Tetrarchy, governed by the Chapter Master of the Genesis Chapter, a successor chapter of the Ultramarines. The Western Tetrarchy is based on Protoss and is commanded by the Chapter Master of the Doom Eagles. In the east, Decimus Felix, a Primaris Ultramarine and former equerry of Guilliman, rules from Vespator, the reformed capital of the once proud Sotharan League. And at the Ultramar's core lies the Central Tetrarchy, governed directly from Macrak under the regency of the Chapter Master Marneus Calgar, which encompasses the heartlands of Ultramar. As of the 42nd millennium, the governance and the defense of Ultramar are overseen by a council of powerful leaders. At the top, the pinnacle, stands Roboute Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines and the Master of Macrak, and the Lord Regent of the Imperium. Serving beneath him here is Marneus Calgar, Lord of Macrak, Lord Defender of Greater Ultramar, and the Chapter Master of the Ultramarines. Acting as the Regent of Ultramar and the Tetrarch of Conor, Severus Agamen ensures Guilliman's will is enacted across Ultramar's many worlds. The other Tetrarchs, Poron of Andamon, Balthus of Protoss, and Decimus Felix of Vespator, each govern vast sectors of Ultramar. Supporting this structure is Catus Icarius, serving as the High Suzerain of Ultramar, while Titus has now become the Warden of Ultramar, safeguarding its borders and enforcing Guilliman's decrees. Now regarding its defense and military, here we come to the Ultramar Auxilia, which serves as the planetary defense force of the Realm of Ultramar and stands as the first line of defense for its many worlds, all under the guidance and the supervision of the Ultramarines. Each planet within Ultramar is pushed to maintain its own auxiliary regiments, trained to standards far exceeding those of typical Imperial PDF forces, and also rivaling the Imperial Guard. Thus discipline, loyalty, and tactical prowess defines the Ultramar Auxilia. These soldiers are not conscripts but dedicated citizens who view service as both an honor and a duty to Ultramar's greater unity. While Ultramar is officially exempted from the Imperium's manpower tides, its auxilia still fields numerous regiments that have fought beyond the subsector, often serving alongside the Ultramarines in major campaigns across the galaxy. This combination of independence, professionalism, and devotion to duty has made the Ultramar Auxilia one of the most respected and effective planetary defense organizations in the Imperium. On Macrock, the Auxilia is further supported by an elite youth organization known as the Juventia, which is composed of adolescent males rigorously trained in discipline, survival, and combat. The Juventia serves as both as Macrock's final line of defense and as a proving ground for future Auxilia recruits, though not all who train within its ranks are accepted into full service. Their exceptional conditioning and martial discipline also makes them ideal candidates for Astartes selection, and many Ultramarines aspirants are chosen from their numbers. In terms of equipment, the Auxilia are well supplied and standardized, wearing layered mesh and Kevlar uniforms in planetary environments and armored environment suits aboard starships and orbital platforms, such as the Ramley Star Forts, and typically colored in Ultramar's signature sky blue and gold. The result is a defense force that exemplifies Guilliman's ideals of self-sufficient, military-capable, and a civic-minded human society. But then, in the void of space, is where we find the Ultramar Defense Fleet, which is the systems defense and void warfare arm of the Ultramar Defense Auxilia, and forms the shield that guards the realm. Unlike the fleets of the Adeptus Astartes, the Ultramar Defense Fleet is manned and commanded by the citizens of Ultramar, all trained to uphold the same ideals of duty, efficiency, and discipline, with the Commodore being an Ultramarian named Gaius Silva. Operating from powerful shipyards like from Macrock, Calt, and Viridia, the fleet fields a wide range of vessels from agile escorts to patrol crafts to formidable heavy cruisers which are capable of independent operations. And throughout its long history, the Ultramar Defense Fleet has stood shoulder to shoulder with the Ultramarines in some of the most harrowing wars of the Imperium's eastern reaches. It played a vital role during the Battle of Macrock, where its ships fought desperately against the High Fleet Behemoth. Later, the fleet fought during the Warsmith Honsu's invasion of Ultramar, engaging the Iron Warriors' corrupted warships and traitor fleets in brutal void battles. In the Ultramar campaign that followed Guilliman's resurrection, the defense fleet once again rose to prominence, coordinating with the Indomitus Crusade fleets to push chaos incursions from Ultramar's star systems. Most recently, during the Plague Wars, its ships provided orbital support and blockade operations against Mortaran's Death God, proving very essential in keeping the realm of Ultramar supplied and defensible amidst the horrors of Nurgle's invasions. Last but not least, we arrive to the shield chapters of the Realm of Ultramar, which are these coalition of 10 Space Marine chapters permanently stationed within the Realm of Ultramar following the end of the Plague Wars. This formation was decreed by Roboute Guilliman himself, who sought to ensure that Ultramar, which is now reconstituted as the 500 Worlds, would forever remain a bastion of imperial order and military strength amidst the turmoil of the 42nd millennium. These chapters are all descendants of the Ultramarines gene line, which means they are successor chapters, and they serve as both guardians and instruments of vengeance, protecting the realm of Ultramar, and collectively, they have a standing force of approximately 10,000 Astartes. Each chapter here fulfills a vital role, and these chapters in name are the Ultramarines, of course, the Avenging Sons, the Sons of the Emperor, the Praetors of Ultramar, the Sons of Auror, the Nova Marines, the Doom Eagles, the Aquiline Brotherhood, the Silver Skulls, and the newly founded Reborn, and together they form a network of vigilance and retribution, which embodies Guilliman's vision of a united, fortified, and eternal Ultramar. And so with that, we come to the end of this video on the 500 Worlds of Ultramar, its history, its reformation, its organization, its leadership, its military strength, the reclamation of the 500 Worlds, and the Space Marine chapters, which are responsible for its protection. Now do hit the like button for support, and also for the ones holding their phones in their hands, do press the hype option, the hype button, to push this content further. Subscribe to be a part of Legion Nutbug, and till the next time, take care, boys.